Have you ever felt like life used to just flow? You'd make decisions, big or small, and things would just happen. But now, something's different, isn't it? There's this strange weight to where all that momentum used to be. So let's get into what's really going on here.
It all starts so small. You're about to do something. Anything, really. Send a text, pick a movie, maybe just start a simple task. And you just stop for a second. There's this tiny pause, a little moment of doubt that you swear wasn't there before. And then that little hesitation, it starts to grow. That pause becomes a full-on stop. And suddenly you're stuck, completely frozen in that space right before the choice, and you just can't seem to move forward. This is when your mind just goes into overdrive. It starts turning these simple, everyday choices into these impossibly complex problems. What should be an easy decision suddenly feels so heavy, like it's loaded with all these potential consequences, until you're just completely paralyzed by the sheer volume of your own thoughts. This whole experience, it's more than just frustrating, right? It feels deeply personal. You feel stuck. And of course, the first place you look for a reason is yourself. That inner critic just gets so loud. You know the voice I'm talking about. It starts telling you you're lazy, unmotivated, undisciplined. You actually start to believe there's something fundamentally wrong with you, that there's some kind of flaw that's stopping you from just doing things. But what if all that self-blame is pointed in the wrong direction? What if the reason you're stuck isn't some deep personal failing, but it's a reaction to this massive external pressure you might not even be able to see? See, the problem isn't what's on the surface. The real cause is hidden, kind of submerged in the way our whole modern world is structured. And this right here, this is the most important part. You're not a broken machine that needs fixing. You are a perfectly normal human being who is just completely and utterly overloaded. There's actually a name for this feeling. It's called decision paralysis. It's that exact moment where the anxiety about making the wrong choice becomes so huge, so powerful, that doing nothing at all feels like the only safe option. And this isn't just about choosing what to have for dinner anymore. It's about being constantly bombarded with infinite paths, infinite possibilities, infinite expectations. Your brain is literally trying to calculate the outcome of 1,000 potential lives all at once, and, well, it's short-circuiting. Now, here's where it gets really interesting. This whole freeze response, it's not some modern bug. It's actually an ancient feature. So let's take a look at why your brain's default setting is to just stop. I mean, this slide just says it all, doesn't it? On one side, you have our ancestors' choices. Immediate, all about survival. Eat this berry, run from that predator. But on the other side, you have our choices. They're abstract, they're complicated, they're tied to our very identity. Who should I become? What's my purpose? And that is the fundamental mismatch. Your brain's operating system was designed for a world of scarcity, a world of simple, clear choices. And now we're asking it to navigate a world of infinite abundance and incredibly complex decisions. So when it gets faced with way too much data, what does it do? It does what it was programmed to do when it sees an overwhelming threat. It freezes. So this overload kicks off this vicious little anxiety loop in your mind. And it all starts with this one question. With so many options out there, you're constantly haunted by the idea that a better one exists, just out of reach. And right on the heels of that comes the fear of future regret. The choice stops being about what you might gain in the present and becomes all about avoiding the pain of looking back later and thinking, I should have chosen the other thing. And then, of course, the big one, the ultimate fear. You start treating every minor decision like it's some major test, where one wrong move could bring everything crashing down. Your life starts to feel like a video game loading screen, stuck at 99%, because you're terrified of what happens when the game actually starts. So, okay, you're overloaded, your brain is running on this outdated survival software, and you're caught in a nasty anxiety loop. It sounds pretty bleak, I know, but the way out, it's surprisingly simple. Now, it's not necessarily easy, but it is simple, and it's not about finding the perfect choice. This is the question that really matters, right? If the problem is having too many choices, how on earth do you learn to choose again? Well, the answer is so beautifully counterintuitive. Choose badly, on purpose. You start by choosing imperfectly, deliberately. You pick the wrong thing on the menu. You take the slightly longer route home. You start that big project in a messy, imperfect way. Because here's the secret. The real problem was never the choice itself. It was the insane amount of weight you attach to it. So the goal here isn't to make the perfect decision. The goal is to prove to your own brain through these small repeated actions that making a choice, any choice, is not a life or death threat. And you can see how this builds on itself. Step 1, you make one small, imperfect choice, and nothing bad happens. Your nervous system takes note of that. Step 2, you do it again, and that fear response gets a little quieter. With every single choice, you're not just moving forward, you're literally rebuilding your own confidence and taking back control. And as you keep practicing this, something pretty remarkable starts to happen. That paralysis that felt so permanent, so heavy, it begins to dissolve. The overwhelming noise of what if just starts to fade into the background. That thick fog of indecision lifts, and you start to find a sense of clarity you thought you'd lost for good. And life, the one that felt so stuck, it finally begins to move again, one small, imperfect choice at a time. You see, the way to escape all that overthinking isn't to think faster or harder. It's to act, even imperfectly, so that you can finally think clearly again. Think slow.